Welcome back to the channel Skytech-Lens, where geopolitics meets gear ratios and strategy. Today, we're diving into a diplomatic drag race between Canada and the United States, as President Trump threatens a 35% tariff on Canadian imports. This isn't just a rivalry, it's a high-stakes confrontation that could reshape North America's economic landscape. With billions of dollars and millions of jobs at risk, the 49th parallel has become the starting line for an unprecedented economic clash. While the US is revving up with aggressive rhetoric, Prime Minister Mark Carney is quietly executing a calculated multi-point strategy. He's leveraging everything from fertilizer to fuel, planning a response designed to absorb shocks and countersteer with precision. Let's pop the hood on this escalating trade war and see how potash, pipelines, and steel are shifting Canada's powertrain. What's Canada's first gear in this strategic race? Potash, a humble mineral from Saskatchewan that's critical for fertilizer and by extension, global food security. Canada isn't just a player, it's the heavyweight champion, holding the world's largest, most accessible potash reserves. This gives Ottawa a quiet but powerful source of leverage over the US, whose farmers depend on Canadian potash to keep their fields productive. Any disruption in this supply would hit American agriculture hard, making potash a potent bargaining chip. President Trump can threaten tariffs, but Carney knows that even the hint of restricting potash exports would send shockwaves through the U.S. heartland. The American agricultural lobby, a political powerhouse, is acutely aware of this dependency. Any threat to their fertilizer supply would trigger political blowback in key states. Carney's team is reading the U.S. political map, identifying pressure points and vulnerabilities. While headlines focus on auto tariffs and steel, the real power play is happening underground. Canada's potash reserves are its queen on the chessboard, an asymmetrical advantage in this trade war. Ottawa doesn't need to make loud threats. The mere existence of this leverage changes the dynamic. It forces the U.S. to consider the collateral damage of its own policies. Canada is signaling it won't be bullied, using geological dominance as a quiet shield. This isn't about starting a fight, it's about having the tools to finish one. By subtly reminding the U.S. of this dependency, Canada recalibrates the negotiation. The message: you might have a bigger engine, but we control a critical part of your fuel supply. Let's find a way forward without blowing a gasket. The potash strategy is a masterclass in economic statecraft, subtle, firm, and deeply calculated. In geopolitics, power often comes from the most unexpected places. Canada's first move is rooted quite literally in the ground beneath its feet. If potash is Canada's hidden ace, its energy sector is the high-performance engine they're retuning. For decades, Canadian oil and gas flowed south to the US, creating a risky dependency. The recent tariff threats have accelerated a strategic pivot, building new export infrastructure that points west, not south. The Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion is the centerpiece, tripling capacity to move oil from Alberta to the Pacific coast for shipment to Asia. This bypasses the US refinery bottleneck and opens Canada to global markets. By diversifying export routes, Canada gains flexibility and access to better pricing, no longer captive to US demand. The pipeline pivot is a massive, controversial undertaking, but the economic imperative is clear. Canada is investing billions to ensure it can sell its resources on its own terms. This move also boosts Canada's influence in Asia, forging new diplomatic and economic ties. The US refining industry, long reliant on cheap Canadian crude, isn't happy. But that's the point. Canada is showing it won't be a captive supplier. If the US wants to play hardball, Canada is ready to reconfigure its economic machinery. Ultimately, the pipeline pivot is about control, taking the wheel of its own economic destiny. By investing in tidewater access, Canada ensures it can compete globally. It's a bold, expensive, and essential maneuver for long-term survival. Canada is building a network of highways, not just one road. This diversification is a direct route to higher profits and greater stability. The strategy is clear. Canada will no longer be defined by US economic dominance. It's a shift into a higher, more powerful gear. The pipeline pivot is Canada's statement of independence on the world energy stage. The US tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum hit like a head-on collision, threatening industries deeply integrated with American supply chains. Canada's immediate response: dollar-for-dollar retaliatory tariffs targeting politically sensitive US goods. This wasn't just retaliation, it was a strategic move to inflict maximum political pain and signal Canada wouldn't be a passive victim. But Ottawa's long-term strategy went further. The government implemented safeguards to prevent Canada from becoming a dumping ground for cheap foreign steel. Investments poured into modernizing the steel and aluminum sectors, shifting focus to high-value, specialized products for aerospace, defense, and clean tech. The goal made Canadian metal indispensable for its quality, not just quantity. Canada also built alliances with the EU and Japan, creating a united front against US protectionism. This amplified Canada's voice and isolated the Trump administration on the global stage. The endgame isn't just removing tariffs, it's building a steel industry that's globally competitive and less dependent on any single partner. The tariffs were the shock. Canada's response is the shield. It's a multi-layered defense retaliation, domestic protection, strategic investment, and international diplomacy. Instead of patching dents, Canada is upgrading the entire chassis. The crisis became an opportunity for industrial transformation. Canada is forging a stronger, more resilient industry. The message: Canada won't just weather the storm, it will emerge stronger. The steel strategy is about long-term health, not just short-term survival. Canada is building a comprehensive shield for its vital industries. Now the big one, the auto industry. North America's automotive sector is a single integrated assembly line crossing borders multiple times. Trump's 35% tariff threat is a stick of dynamite, risking catastrophic disruption for both countries. The Carney government's response? Proactive, multi-pronged negotiation. Instead of just bracing for impact, Canada went on the offensive, dispatching ministers to U.S. states like Michigan and Ohio, meeting with industry leaders and unions. Their message: a tariff on us is a tariff on you. Your jobs are our jobs. This ground-level diplomacy created a chorus of American voices urging the White House to back down. Canada bypassed Washington's political theater, taking the case directly to those most affected. The result: powerful internal pressure within the U.S., turning potential adversaries into allies. Simultaneously, Canada is investing in the future, partnering with automakers to secure funding for EV and battery plants, positioning itself as a hub in the green automotive revolution. This dual strategy protects the current supply chain while building for the future. The threat of auto tariffs hasn't disappeared, but Canada's response has changed the calculus. They've shown the chaos would be immense and recruited American allies to their cause. By investing in EVs, Canada ensures its automotive future isn't tied solely to the old model. It's a strategic pivot, protecting today, building tomorrow. Canada is ensuring it has a seat at the table, or better yet, a hand on the wheel. The auto strategy is about resilience and relevance in a changing industry. Canada is ready for whatever road lies ahead. For much of its history, Canada's prosperity was tied to a single dominant partner. First Britain, then the US. Recent trade disputes exposed the risks of such deep reliance. The Carney government's answer: strategic diversification on a scale never seen before. The goal is resilience, an economy strong enough to withstand shocks from any source. Canada has aggressively pursued new free trade agreements, salvaging the CPTPP after US withdrawal, and finalizing CETA with the EU. This gives Canada unique tariff-free access to both the EU and Pacific Rim markets. Canada is now a global trade hub, an attractive destination for foreign investment. The strategy turns US protectionism into a competitive advantage. Economic diplomacy is at the forefront, with ambassadors and trade commissioners seeking new markets and investment. The shift is also cultural, encouraging Canadian businesses to look beyond the US. The government supports small and medium enterprises in navigating new markets. This grand strategy is the ultimate answer to uncertainty. Canada is moving from branch plant to global headquarters. By building new trade routes, Canada is engineering a future of diversified, resilient prosperity. The message: Canada's stability won't depend on a single partner. It's a long, challenging road, but the foundation is being laid. Canada is charting its own course in the global economy. The era of reliance is giving way to resilience. As we approach the final lap, what does Canada's response look like? It's not a single punch. It's a meticulously engineered, multi-point strategy. Immediate countermeasures, retaliatory tariffs, and steel safeguards were the airbags and roll cage, absorbing the initial impact. The Potash power play is Canada's turbocharger, a quiet but powerful advantage. The pipeline pivot is a massive infrastructure overhaul, future-proofing the economy and expanding global reach. Strategic investments in EVs and batteries ensure Canada's relevance in tomorrow's industries. Landmark trade deals with the EU and Pacific Rim are new economic highways, reducing dependency on the US. This isn't panic, it's calm, calculated precision. Carney's government is making controlled, deliberate adjustments, steering through turbulence. The response shows confidence and strategic maturity. Economic security isn't taken for granted, it's actively built and upgraded. Canada is determined to be the driver, not the passenger of its own destiny. This is more than a story about tariffs, it's about a nation re-engineering its place in the world. Canada is forging a new identity, resilient, diversified, and in control. In the face of a storm, Canada is taking the wheel with both hands. The road ahead is challenging, but the strategy is clear. Canada is ready for whatever comes next. The engine is running strong. So, what's your verdict on this high-stakes race? Has Canada finally charted a path out of U.S. economic dependence? Is Potash the secret weapon? Will EV investments and energy rerouting give Canada the edge? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments. Your insights fuel this channel, so keep them coming. If you found this deep dive valuable, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. There's a lot more to explore under the hood of global events. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Subscribe to the channel Skytech-Lens for more updates.